The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, Kinda Power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi everyone, Macca19 here, and this is the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast, coming to you live once again on Port Fan Radio. Look, as usual, as co-host, we've got Fishing Rick. How are you, mate?
I'm here and on time, Macca.
Awesome. This is a bonus.
Isn't it amazing?
It's incredible.
Yes, and
Unbelievable.
I want to apologise to all our downloaders, especially that missed out on quality content last Monday.
Look, it was the best podcast we've ever done, and no one's going to hear it, unfortunately. We must apologise for there being no review podcast. It did get recorded. We had an extreme amount of obscure sound issues which couldn't be resolved, as well as the file for the first half of the podcast ending up corrupt and not being able to be opened. So we were actually left with about 5 minutes of usable material, and unfortunately or fortunately, it was the best 5 minutes we've ever done, which is a shame. So
I reckon we might we'll bring up those two topics from Monday that people missed out on quickly at the beginning.
Sure.
Seeing it's us two, and we've got a bit of time, and I guess the other thing is I've gone on a bribing mission tonight, and courtesy of the Big Footy sponsorship, we've got 2 locker room tickets to offer up tonight if we get a few listeners on board. So I reckon we'll get someone to call in at the right time, and there's 2 locker room tickets up for grabs for a friend and someone to go to the footy, which will be awesome.
Awesome. This is
fantastic. Is that your favourite room? You've been, you get around. You're Mr. High Society of Port Adelaide. You've been to the Audi Club this year. You've been to the Before the Bounce. You've been to the locker room. You've been to the RAA Lounge. Oh my God, I'm breathless. I can't even think of them all.
What a corporate whore I am.
And what do you like the most? Which one would you choose?
I would personally choose the lounge. I reckon the lounge is fantastic. Really? But if I had never been to any sort of corporate event before, the locker room wins hands down, because you get to see them train. There's free food, free booze. It's a really unique experience, and something which is pretty special, especially if you've never done anything like that before. So. This is a very special opportunity to get 2 tickets for the locker room. So hopefully we can give them away this afternoon.
That's quite interesting that you reckon you like the lounge the most. What do you like about the lounge?
I thought the food was better. I think the view's better. You have the option of being able to sort of stay in there behind the glass and just continue to eat and drink if you feel like that, and you've got a much better view of the ground, as opposed to the locker room where you're sort of stuck behind the goals a bit. So that would be that's my preference.
And what about, so for the punters out there that are dreaming about getting some sort of these tickets, what about the Before the Bounce? You even rate the lounge higher than that one?
That was really good. That was really, really good. Fantastic food. Lots of people. I think I obviously went to the Showdown one. There would have been probably about 600 people there for the Before the Bounce lunch. It's a sit-down thing, 3-course meal. We got to hear Koshy speak and a couple of players as well. But yeah, I'd still choose the lounge.
Awesome. I like to hear that. See, and I bought tickets there, so it makes me feel better. So,
especially when reviewing the cost of all the different places, I think that comes out on top, I reckon, for me.
Absolutely. So we've got the Twitter sphere open, so people can tag us in at Port Fan Radio if they want to communicate with us as well. And we'd like to get some tweets. And if you want to call in, we'll try and take a call or two. And you just have to add Port Fan Radio to Skype, and you can call us in if you've got the courage, and we'll take some calls. So one thing we spoke about on Monday, and I guess it's sort of been diluted through the controversy of the Adam Goods saga, is the umpiring from the weekend and the amount of free kicks. And since our conversation, I've sort of heard from some commentary from Lee Matthews, which I thought he made a bit of sense sense as well. I hope you're still alive there, Macca. What did you take out of the the umpiring on the weekend?
Well, it was a bit bizarre, wasn't it? I mean, you just didn't really know what was going on with a few of those ruck infringements, and it just came out of nowhere. Like, they haven't really been playing a lot of free kicks in the ruck all year, and suddenly they're pulling them out every second bounce. So, yeah, it just seemed a bit strange. I'm not sure whether they had some sort of direction from up above, whether to look out for those sort of infringements during the game. But, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't great, and it just left everybody, especially no doubt at the ground itself, incredibly confused, I think. And that's not really what you want when you're at the football.
I think the ruck ruling is just getting ridiculous now. I don't understand what's wrong, and I actually didn't understand it when Primus sort of created this rule with that strong arm technique to sort of block the space from the ruckman. I mean, that's what makes AFL football so great, is the diversity in the different types of athletes that we have playing the game. And
I can understand why that's a free kick, to be honest. I can understand why blocking the opposition ruckman's ability to have a go at the ball is a free kick. I can understand that, but I don't know. I mean, it happens all the time when they pull out like 1 out of 10. So it's the consistency is the issue for me.
Yeah, I like the How's already tweeted in saying he hates Matty Nichols. I actually thought he didn't umpire poorly against us on the weekend. I thought he was actually reasonable.
He actually gave us a free kick or two, so that was a welcome surprise.
And Bevan's tweeted in saying he's more than happy to trial all three of the corporate tickets and let us know which one is the better quality out of the work.
Are you at the milk bar again, Rick?
At the milk bar?
Yeah.
Why's that?
with the ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Oh, shit, that's my phone. It's I'll mute it now. I apologise. Cool bananas. And the other one was the Adam Goods, which has become a bit of a fiasco. What do you reckon? Does he need to man up, or is it a bit out of control?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's gone... The way that this has blown up over the last few days is just... it's just gone bananas, and trust a West Coast crowd to cause this sort of fracas with excess booing. I mean, it had to be them, didn't it? But I don't know. It's a real shame that he's been booed incessantly over the last sort of 12 months, I guess. And I don't know. I guess everyone's got a theory as to whether it is racism or whether it's not racism. Whether it's the fact that a lot of people think he's a bit of a flog, or he's a bit too outspoken, or whether it's his on-field exploits and the fact that he seems to get away with murder a little bit on the field in terms of never being able to give away free kicks when they're deserved and all that sort of stuff. And so there's about 50 different theories going around of why it is, and it's probably a little percentage of all of them. And I think at this point in time, it's fair to say enough's enough, and the booing probably does need to stop, even if it's not for racial reasons.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think because the race card's been played, and obviously it's having a bit of a heavy issue with the player. I think I'm with you. It sort of needs to probably stop now. It's gone a little bit too far, and I'm getting told we have to hook Bevan up with tickets apparently. So I don't know about that one. Yeah, he'll have to earn his way out. And I heard Al wanted us to talk about Mitchell Johnson. I don't know if do we have a poor player called Mitchell Johnson, or is he talking about the cricket player?
I don't think so. I'll happily talk about Russell Johnston, but
Russell Johnson. Oh, yeah. I heard there's isn't there VCRs going on cheap?
That's it.
Yeah. But I know that the rumour is that Big Mitch has taken a couple of quick wickets for Australia, which is pretty awesome because we don't want to make him too many runs. So what else is going on?
No, absolutely.
Ford Fairlane's asking for Scott Thompson to be midfield coach of Port Adelaide.
Oh.
What do you think of that one?
Oh, I pretty well like that. That'd be a good pick-up if he chooses to retire at the end of this year.
Yeah.
I'd be well happy with that, I think.
But then, haven't we got 2 midfield coaches already?
Oh, look, I'm sure Josh Carr's been there long enough. I'm sure he could take over a assistant position in a different area. Maybe help out Matty Nix in defence or something like that.
I guess how much payroll do we have too?
Well, we've had a pretty good year in terms of sponsorship, in terms of gate receipts and all that sort of thing, and membership. So I'm sure we would have earned quite a bit more money than we did last year, and hopefully that can also see us improve the football department once again.
Well, before we get into the game, then where would you like to see change? Because I mean, I think I did. I can't remember now, but I did on Monday. I reckon North Melbourne's eighth, and we would need to win all our games, and they need to lose 2 games for us basically to make the 8, if I remember rightly. And their draw's as soft as butter, so I can only see them winning 1 game. So I don't think for us it's going to happen. So assuming we don't make the finals, where would you like to see change initiated for 2016?
I would like to see us attack the pre-season with less emphasis on running, more emphasis on body size, and a lot more emphasis on skills. I think that's what's needed. In terms of the football department, I think it's really hard to say, because every area of the ground has struggled at certain points of this year. So it's fair to say that no one's really done a fantastic job. But I would like to see us maybe add 1, possibly 2 more names to that, whether that's someone like Nathan Bassett or a recently retired player. I'm not too sure, but I think it's always good to sort of add an extra person or 2 every now and then, just to get some fresh ideas about the place.
So running wasn't an issue last year, was it?
Yep.
So then why now is it an issue?
Well, again, I think we've spoken about this at length, about what could have happened in the pre-season and whether maybe we actually overtrained, and whether the guys didn't have the fitness in the legs because of overtraining. They were a bit lethargic, or it's really hard to know. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. Something obviously happened in the pre-season, because we haven't looked all that great at any real stage this year, and we started the season off pretty poorly. So.
Yeah, I think you're more right on the path when it comes to asking for maybe like a strategist, a strategy coach, like a Nathan Bassett, perhaps. I think maybe that's where our downfall is. I don't know if it's the pre-season training. For me, I guess the pre-season, I thought our strategy looked like it was getting exposed pretty much straight after the West Coast game, and we just weren't permitted to transition at all. So I think for me, that's probably more of an issue. And I mean, I would like a bit more bulk, but I'm not convinced that that's the problem, to be honest. Yep. And I think we've been under pressure. I think that pressure has led us down the path of poor skills, because the oppositions have been able to pressure the ball carrier a lot better this year. And I really think we need to get our game plan in order. I think that's probably the biggest issue for us at this point in time. So I think the coaches need a bit of support. So maybe another person coming in, and maybe a recent player like a Scott Thompson, maybe with a new fresh eyes, might be the go. I heard Mick Malthouse is available to move to Adelaide now after all these years.
Oh, look, I think I'd pass on that one, to be honest. Let him coach the Crows. Let him coach the Crows, I think.
Supposedly, Loberfall Bakery is keen to sponsor us. That's the rumour. That's the rumour I heard. That's the rumour I heard.
Let's not go there at all.
Not politically correct?
I'm not sure we'd be interested.
All right. Now you're a bad influence. And I've read on Big Footy that some people are having a few issues logging in. So I was going to give them an update on what to do, but they're obviously not going to hear me. But St Chris is now in, and he's champing at the bit to try and double up and get some more tickets again, apparently. So we'll see. What are we up to now?
We're up to the preview of this week's game.
Yes,
which
awesome.
Of course is Port versus St Kilda on Sunday at Adelaide Oval. We've got a 15-10 win-loss record against the Saints. And of course, the last time we met was the 70-point win last year, where Chatty Wingard took Mark of the Year.
Yeah, he's looking like he's getting ready to do another Mark of the Year as well, isn't he?
He is. That's
He's
right.
get-
How
he's
much
get-
of St Kilda have you seen this year?
Not much.
Not much.
No, not much at all. I sort of watched the results, and I guess don't ask me about individual players, but I guess but I've actually been impressed with St Kilda. I think they're on an upward trajectory. I'm a bit disappointed with the players that they've left out for this week. I don't know if they're being rested, and it seems to be that St Kilda is notorious at coming over here with a sort of a mindset of not caring if they win or not. So, which maybe they're doing again. But I guess they're going to provide a lot of run and carry, I think, this weekend. They seem to be very attacking and very daring with their game plan.
It was a bit of an interesting call, Rick. I'm not sure they would have been they would be resting players. I don't think they're in that sort of position to be resting players, but I do agree that in the past they might have done sort of similar things under Ross Lyon, but I don't think they're in any sort of position to be sort of doing that sort of funny business, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, why? So you just think Nick Riewoldt legitimately?
Well, Jack Loney's. I think Riewolt's probably legitimately injured. I think Loney deserves a rest. He's a first-year player. He's probably a bit tired. And Sam Gilbert, well, he's got a groin injury, so he might be out for a little while. But some of the names coming back in are pretty decent as well. Tom Hickey will cause some issues up forward. Tim Embry, he's another tall forward. Sebastian Ross, he's played some pretty good games in the midfield. Nathan Wright, he's a good midfielder. Daniel McKenzie's a young midfielder as well. And Cameron Shenton, who sort of plays all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see who actually comes in.
What about my favourite player, Luke Dunstan from the Saints? He's out injured?
No, he's named in the middle, so he'll be playing.
I reckon he's a great player. Hard. He'd be one I'd be... If he said, I want to come home, I would be open arms to Luke coming to Port Adelaide, that's for sure.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Well, what about Alan Richardson? What do you think he's provided for the St Kilda Football Club?
I think he's probably toughened them up a little bit. I think he's done the right thing in playing a lot of kids and giving a lot of minutes to some of the younger players out there. And, no doubt they'll have a few more sort of experienced guys retire at the end of this year. Maybe someone like Adam Schneider or, maybe Sam Fisher, someone like that. Which will give more minutes to some other players next year. I think he's done a reasonable job. They're sitting just behind us in 13th. They've won 6 games. They've lost, I think, another 3 or 4 by under 3 goals. So there's no doubt they've improved from last year, and they've still got quite a long way to go. But the pieces are there, and they're moving in the right direction, I think.
So, what do you reckon? We've got Ben Jennings that's apologising for not being on and said you should have recruited PAFC 66 to come on tonight.
Yep.
Hey?
Could have.
Yeah.
I did ask about 10 people, but no one could come on, which is a bit unfortunate.
I get the message. We're just not very popular, are we?
No, that's it.
It's a long season. It's hard. So what have we done?
I blame you. Once again, I blame you, mate. So
that's fine. I've got broad shoulders and big lips and gaps where teeth used to be. So I'm a true Port Adelaide supporter.
Yep.
So who's in? Even I know the answer to this, but who's in, Macca?
Tom Jonas, he's been named, and Sammy Gray is back in the squad once again, and I think they're the only 2 additions at this point.
Really?
Or at least worth talking about it anyway. So.
Steady on. What about our man? The man,
the
Jasper.
pit dog. The
He's
pit
back.
dog is back. He is back to solve all our defensive issues.
And ours crying in his wheat bix because you didn't ask Al if he wanted to come on tonight.
Well, that's true. I figured Al would ring up anyway, so...
Well, that's true. Now, there you go. There's your cue to call, Al. Cue to call. But the pit dog is back, and they put him straight back in the defensive lines.
Well, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense there.
It does make sense. So, what about the Tom Jonas and the Sam Gray selection? What do you think?
Well, I think... Well, it'll be interesting. Apparently, Michael Voss said on radio that Angus Monfries is definitely out. So whether that means it's just a simple Pittard for Monfries swap, or whether Monfries will come out for someone like Sam Gray, I guess we'll wait and see. But I don't know. I didn't think Sammy Gray had all that good a game last week, despite some very good statistical numbers. But I thought his impact was pretty poor. But I'm not really sure what he's going to add to the side if he comes back in. And it'll be interesting to see who we actually choose from that interchange bench, because of the 7 players, there's more Monfries, Young, Impey, White, Jonas and Gray. Personally, I would be picking, if Monfries is out, I'd be going more Young, Impey and White. That's who I'd be picking.
Well, you would think that Impey and White are going to stay in, and you'd think Andrew Moore. I think Andrew Moore and Young have to stay in too. I agree with you there, because I guess we've just got to give them an opportunity to fight for their career to the end of the season, and also try and maybe pad up some value for them if they're going to potentially be on the trade table. So the Tom Jonas one's a concern for me. I hope they don't select him, because what I read, his form was pretty poor in the SANFL, and he was in pretty poor form in the AFL, and maybe they just need to let him build some confidence for the rest of the year in the SANFL, and try and get him back next year fit and firing.
Yeah, look, his form probably hasn't deserved a recall at this point, but I think if they do choose to play Tim Membry, that will give them a four-tole forward line of Josh Bruce, Paddy McCartan, Tom Hickey and Tim Membry, and I think if that's the case, I reckon he'd be the perfect matchup for Tim Membry, because he's a little bit of an undersized forward. Quite bulky, very, very strong. And I think Tommy Jonas would be the perfect matchup for him. So if that's the case, I wouldn't mind actually seeing him back in the side for this week and seeing how he goes.
That actually reminds me, I saw a whisper that Carlisle might be rubbed out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. If that is true, that is very much a shame. Obviously, he's a very important part of our side, and I think it shows how well Jack Homsch goes when Carlisle's right next to him. How important he is for that sort of defensive structure as well. So if that is the case, that's a bit of a blow. But I guess on the flip side, it gives someone like Tom Cleary more opportunity to play AFL. So we'll see how he goes as well.
Yeah, so we've got Bevan. We sort of answered his tweet. Who would you play? Impey Loney was the obvious matchup. Push him forward. Okay, so he's asking who would you play Impey? Loney was the obvious matchup. Would you push him forward?
Quite possible. I mean, I'm not really sure where he played last week, and I think that might be a reason why he could be dropped. I think that could be a possibility, but I hope not. I hope he stays in the side. Who might he play on? Maybe someone like Jack Sinclair. I think he'd be the perfect matchup for him. Or maybe even playing up forward. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Or maybe even doing a sort of a defensive forward job on someone like Shane Savage, who's had a pretty good season this year.
Could the Impster maybe play on the wing?
Could do, but I doubt we would see him play there. They've seemed reluctant to sort of play him through the midfield so far in his career, so I don't really see that changing this week, even though I would love to see him play through the middle.
And what about Whitey? You thought first game back a little bit underwhelming?
Yeah, he only had that sort of one good play and then was pretty invisible for the rest of the game. So hopefully he can improve on that this week and provide us with that sort of run and carry and a couple of goals that we need.
Well, Dylan's also having a whinge on Facebook that you didn't ask him either. And he said Dobby G should get a run. Well, boys out, Dylan, feel free to give us a quick call and ask the expert in Craig a question. More than happy to take a call from you boys and see what we can answer. And Chris Hale saying, if you give me the tickets, I'll write another 1,000-word review and also thoughts on Imp up forward. So Chris is getting in early with the bribes to try and win the ticket. But yeah, well, what are we looking for, mate? What are we trying to get out of this now? Because like we said, we think the season's shot. So what are we trying to get out of this sort of game against St Kilda?
I think we just need to keep winning. I think keep our confidence up. Play good footy. I'd love to see a big win this weekend, just to keep the form going and give us, even if it is a minuscule shot at making the 8, we're still in with a bit of a chance. I'd love to see our midfield perform a bit better. Hopefully the Lobie and Ryder partnership can get the better of Longer and Hickey, which should be a pretty interesting matchup. Longer's had a really good season this year. So it'll be interesting to see how Lobie goes against him. And I would love to see our defensive structure and form of our defenders look a hell of a lot better than it did last week.
Well, I've got a question for you and for the people listening. Have we lived by the Ant mantra this year that we will never give up? Which I haven't heard that often this year either.
I don't think I've heard it once, to be honest.
So what's
certainly
going
not
on
from
there?
anyone at the club.
Have we evolved and that we've gone beyond the mantra, or are we not?
We've gone beyond never giving up to giving up again. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you. I'm asking the punters. What do you guys think?
Well, it's hard to have a mantra of never give up when we've done exactly that in a number of games this year and really struggled to run out games and that sort of thing, especially, you know, in round 2, our first home game against Sydney, that happened. It happened against Richmond, happened against Brisbane, happened against Geelong. So it's really hard for the coaches or the marketing department to sort of to sprout that when on field they're struggling to sort of perform and do exactly that, I would say.
Because that was obviously the line that we've pumped for the last 2 years, and it's been noticeable. I guess, what was it this year? We were supposed to bring the noise, weren't we?
That's it.
It's been a bit of a
been debatable whether we've done that as well. So I don't know.
I can't blame the crowd for that though, because at the end of the day, we react to our team's performance. And if you're getting beaten, it's a bit hard to bring the noise. I mean, unless you're going to start booing the opposition or your own players. It's you'd be a bit loony, wouldn't you, if you start cheering when your team's 6 goals, 7 goals down?
No, I just think this year it's a bit weird. The crowd's been a little bit quirky on occasion. It's sort of taken them sometimes into the third quarter to get going, I think, even if it's been a pretty good game and a pretty close game. Sort of like the Geelong game, I thought was sort of eerily quiet through the first half, even though we were sort of in the game and, you know, we're in front for stages of that match. It was a little bit quiet, and sort of other games have been pretty similar to that. It's taken the crowd some time to sort of warm up and get into it.
So what sort of crowd are you expecting this weekend?
Sunday, day game. It's probably not the greatest time slot for us. St Kilda, who are pretty ordinary. You know, if we get over 40, I'd be pretty happy, to be honest. I think it'll probably be about 36 or 37. But if we can push that up to sort of 41 or 42, I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah, I'd be pretty happy if we could get that sort of crowd. I guess from a country supporter perspective, though, Macca, that time slot should be reasonably beneficial for you, because it means you get home at a reasonable hour.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So you like the time slot?
It means I get home that day, so that's good. I personally love that time slot because it means I get home. I'll probably get home when it's still light, so that's even more of a bonus.
So what about the anomaly of 2014 to 2015 Matthew Lobie? That was one conversation we had last week, and we had young Serge even saying that Lobie should have been dropped for the rest of the year. And we use that spot on a development player like Harvey or even Redden again. What are your thoughts on Lobie, and where's it gone wrong for him in 2015?
It's hard to say. Maybe his lack of a real good pre-season hurt him so far this year and hurt his fitness base. You know, he's really sort of struggled from the first game that he played in round 3. So, you know, he's sort of been starting at a poor base and hasn't really improved. He's had the odd good game here and there. I don't know, mate. Was he all that good last year? Or was it just the fact that, I don't know, why do we think he was good last year? Was his hit-outs good? Or was it the fact that he was able to hold the fort when we literally had no one else to sort of come in that was good?
Well, I think it was a bit of that. I think we didn't really have any other options. And so, you know, no offence to Lobie as a player, something's better than nothing, I guess. But I guess he was able to hold up the ball around the stoppage a lot better last year. I don't seem to find that a noticeable aspect of his play this year. But his tap ruck work has never been great, but it wasn't noticeably bad last year. Whereas this year it's just horrendous, and it's almost to the point where I sort of intimated on the forums that if we could get the right deal for him, where people get sucked in for big, strong players, that maybe it would have to be considered for the right deal, because I personally think, especially at the stoppages, that he's a bit of a liability at this point in time.
Yeah, look, he's certainly not had a great year this year. Hopefully he can have a big pre-season and get back to his best sometime next year. But look, I mean, he's never really been the sort of ruckman that wins a lot of hit-outs to advantage. He's always been in the sort of the bottom rung of the main ruckman in that sort of stat. He's never been a ruckman that takes a lot of marks. We all know that. Or, is able to sort of push forward and take marks and kick goals up there as well. So, I don't know. Personally, I would like to have seen him go back to the SANFL and us maybe play Ryder as a full-time ruck and bring in someone like Harvey and tell him to play full forward and see how he goes, and a little bit of a chop out in the ruck and give him a bit of a taste. I think the last few weeks would have been the perfect sort of opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Well, look, something's got to happen. I think with the congestion around the play at this point in time, you can't afford the luxury of running a poor ruckman that doesn't really have hit-outs to advantage. I guess you got Sanderlands that sort of, he's still improved over time, but I guess he still does enough damage when he's not winning them to advantage just due to his size, whereas Matt probably doesn't have that benefit. So I think really, it just exposes us too much. And I mean, how much in the last few weeks has he been tapping it directly to, opposition players, which, is just, surely that's a cardinal sin for a ruckman.
Yeah. I mean, every ruckman in the league does that on occasion, but I mean, it seems to be more often than the norm, with Lobe, where he sort of just taps it straight down the throat of a free opposition midfielder who then runs off with the ball. But I don't know, hopefully he can have a better game this week. St Kilda's got a pretty good midfield, so it'll be interesting to see how they go and whether they can read his taps pretty well.
So how long do we make the listeners endure our commentary before we offer up these tickets? What do you reckon?
Oh, it's up to you, mate.
It's up to me.
It's up to you.
I got the power. All right, cool.
You have the power.
We'll make them wait then, because otherwise they might just hang up and leave us all alone. So what else? What else did you want to talk about from this game?
Their tall forwards. Do you see them having a bit of an impact?
Bruce.
Yep.
Who is this a trick question? Are you trying to?
Not really, no.
Are you trying to expose my knowledge on as I frantically go to the St Kilda selection and team listing to see who are their tall forwards outside of Bruce?
Well, look, Josh, with Rewalt out of the side, obviously Josh Bruce will be their key target this week. Would you expect to see Jack Homsch play on him, or do you think Homsch will go to someone like McCartan or Hickey instead?
Well, Hickey's their taller forward, isn't he? So you'd probably think that you would look at Trengove on Hickey, I would imagine.
Yep.
And I guess Bruce isn't a massive forward, though, is he? What's he, about 193, something like that?
He's 196.
196? Yeah, well then,
Yep.
Fair enough. Well then I'd probably look at going Homsch on Bruce and giving him a go. It's just, I just don't see Homsch as a permanent fullback, though.
Yep.
Is that how you would see it?
He's struggled there this year. I think without Carlisle in the side, I think he's been a little bit found out, I think, in the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. So it's a bit disappointing. I'd probably expect Cleary to take the youngster in McCartan. It'll be interesting to see him play. Obviously, the number one pick from last year. And look, we've got a bit of a caller coming in, Matthew Sullivan. We'll have a quick chat.
Hey.
G'day, guys. How's things?
Pretty good.
Mate,
change that bloody Skype picture, though.
Oh,
You're
okay.
on-
What have I got there at the moment?
You remind me of an American postal worker. I'm worried you're going to come to my office or something.
I'll have to look at that. It looks.
So what's going on, Matthew?
Hey, yeah, no, my fuse is a little longer than the postal work. Hey, hey, I thought we'd get a good opportunity to plug the Maggie's Hour while I'm on air with you here, guys. Just to let you know, we're all back on track from this Wednesday coming back. Harold Oliver and myself, I'll be paneling the show and got it all set up. We're
Brilliant.
pretty much about 95% there. There's a couple little technicalities I won't talk about right now, but I'll speak to perhaps even you, Macca, a bit about just some guidance on how it all goes. But looking forward to getting the show up and running, getting the listeners back on a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. I believe it was a kind of a pretty good rating show. Is that correct, Rick?
It was, actually. It was a very, very good show. So
I imagine the plus for all that is because of the intrigue, and you get a lot of social media intrigue about ins and outs all the time. And so I'm wondering sometimes if it's almost less about the actual side, which is, still people care about the Maggies, but more even about just how our periphery players go in the SNFL comp, the Stewarts, the Moores, the Archies, etc.
Yep.
Hey, well, Matt, as a Maggie's specialist with a Maggie's show, what do you think of Sam Gray's third call-up for the year?
It is all about who he replaces, isn't it? I think so. I think he's that type of player that my buddy, my pal, Harold Oliver once said about kind of emergency break glass. He's the type of player when you're in that kind of situation where you need. He's certainly not in the first 22. If Nicholas is listening, just cool your jet, son. he's not. I know he loves him, but it's just true. I don't know about what we're trying to work on with him. I think if you get Jesse Palmer, you give him another year. Like Sam just got time's not on his side because you've got Dougal and you've got other players that are pushing, and the next give the next kind of 18 months to even 2017, I guess. Where's he going to be at? He's not I don't see him as a long-term prospect. But it's not against he's pretty good in the SNFL, but there is such a difference. I was really disappointed with Andrew Moore's game last week. This guy needs to know that. And personally, I've met him a few times and really like the guy. I think he's a really good footballer. You see that in the SNFL. I think it's just a confidence thing. I think he just needs to know he's part of the team. So where's the loss? Where's the, you look at the pluses and minuses for him staying in the team. I think you were saying earlier, lads, that you just got to keep more in there at the moment. I
thought he was pretty good last week. I thought he was pretty good. Did a pretty good job on Heppel in the second half and kicked a goal. I thought he did enough to deserve his spot in the side.
I agree with that, yes, and that's where I'm a supporter of his, but I just know that he can do better. And I guess that's just where he doesn't need to just be given one or two games and then out again. He really just needs to be given a good period of time just to find his feet, especially in the midfield. I'm not sure if he's got the discipline to play the Kane Corns tagging role. I'm wondering if Sam Cahoon's got more of that. But then again, Sam gets a lot of the ball, and it's a difficult one. What do you guys kind of think about that kind of defensive role? Because it's a pretty big difference in regards to not allowing the amount of easy goals and just gives the defence a bit of a break. Kane often did that.
Yeah, I don't know about Sammy's size though. So that's the problem we've got with Sam. And maybe in time, I think it's a natural sort of reaction to look at Sam and go, Sam, because he's got that endurance, he'd be the next player to take over.
That's how I see it. Yeah, build him up.
Yeah, but I think if you're going to do that, he probably needs to play a fair bit more in the SNFL as a tagger, I reckon. I just think we're probably lacking that role now. We just have to we'll just have to try and groom the right player and get there.
You said earlier in the season, I've got one more for you too, Craig. You said earlier in the season, I believe, you're pretty hell-bent. You believe that Harvey would get a game by the end of the year. I'm starting to see that he won't, because like you said, just repeating what you said before about the fact that he should have had a game by now. What's your thoughts on where his future is?
I think he's got a bit of a future. No doubt he'll get games at some point.
He's good.
Possibly next year, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a very, very tough and bitterly disappointing situation where at the end of this year we've got Schultz and Westhoff as our key forwards, and then Shaw that hasn't played a game, Harvey that hasn't played a game, and Butcher that's probably odds on to be delisted. So
yes,
our key forwards are definitely a problem, and that's why I would have certainly played Harvey in a few games this year. And look, there's still a few games left, so you never know. Never say never.
Thanks,
and the Pies against the Doggies as well should get a win as well. So nice double win.
Easy.
Cheers, lads.
Buddy. We shall listen in next Wednesday.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
See ya. All right. We'll get these tickets ready in a sec, Macca. All right.
Let's do it.
Oh my God, someone keeps calling me. Who's calling my office at 9:15? And the problem is, last time I had this happen, I ripped the phone cord out of the wall and it disconnected the Skype call. So I'll just keep hanging up the phone because that should be punishment. Who's bloody calling me at 9 o'clock on a Thursday night at the office? Go watch some TV. Braden Martin also said to be successful at Sam Gray's height, you need to have elite skill, kicking, speed, forward pressure, and he doesn't have one. So
I think he's probably got forward pressure, but that would be it. That would be the only thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't mind Sammy. Hello, who's there? I should put him live on radio. Hey, what do you reckon? No. So, done. I've just taken the phone off, so it will ring out outside and not in my office. So, there you go. All right. So, was there anything else you want to talk about with the game?
Well, look, we might as well do a tip. Bit of a tip. Who's going to be best on ground?
Best on ground. Very good question. I'm gonna go because I'm wondering if we might play with our structures a little bit this week. So maybe I might go sort of off centre, and I'm going to say Andrew Moore. I reckon he's going to have a huge game this week.
Okay. Yep. I like that. And how much are we winning by?
Well, who's your best on ground?
My best on ground, I'm going to say Robbie Gray.
Robbie Gray, the Greymeister.
I think Robbie Gray's going to absolutely tear shit up, to be honest.
And will Chad take Mark of the Year?
Oh, possibly. And I've got to say, I reckon Jay Schultz might be in for a bit of a big one this week as well. It's going to be hard to see who he gets as an opponent. Whether they play the first year Hugh Goddard, whether the experienced Sam Fisher goes on him. So, I don't know, we might see Schultz kick 5 or 6 this week.
5 or 6? I'm sure he'd be happy. He might justify his alleged pay rise that he's looking for. Yeah?
Indeed.
And what do you want to know? The score? The margin?
Yep.
I'm going to go Port on a bit of a confidence roller coaster and say 67 points.
Like it. I'm going to say Saints by 17.
Is that what you really think?
No. I'm going to say Port by 46 points.
Nice word. And what's going on the footy tips
for the year?
You're falling behind.
I had a terrible week this week. Absolutely shocking week.
Yeah, I've just
a
had
disaster. I picked a bunch of teams that I thought, well, they might win like Collingwood, and they just didn't. All the results sort of went against me. All the 50-50 games. So yeah,
We've got another caller.
Disaster, that one. We've got another caller. Crazy Big Owl. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yourself?
Good.
You've been pretty fired up tonight, Al. What's going on?
I'm always fired up.
He is always fired up.
When Port's in the discussion, I'm always fired up.
Yeah, and I got a text message that from Timmy G that Saturday night there's a club reunion at 8:30.
I heard a rumour that it got canned.
No, 95, 96. So anyone's welcome, apparently.
Did they do any promotion for this?
I don't know. Well, yeah.
This is the first I've heard of it.
They're randomly text messaging people, unless it's actually well, he did say bring anyone, so it's not really a private show, I guess, is it? But yeah. So I guess if you want to meet some of the former players, your buddy could go and try and stalk Darren Smith out.
Yeah, we'll have to get Phil down there to have a bit of a chat.
That's it.
Say hi.
Al, what's your pick for this week?
What pick, as in the Port game? Oh, we'll win by 6 goals.
Nice.
And how many beers are you going to drink during the game this week?
Oh, I'd probably say between 7 and 10.
7 and 10?
Stubbies, probably. I've got some James Squire Gold Nail there.
James Squire, that's very upmarket.
Oh, well, I'm not. I've got a sophisticated palate, my friend. I've done my beer, wine, and spirits course, just the same as Macca, and I became a craft beer connoisseur after doing it.
Right.
Nice. Good work.
Good work. All right. So, shall we? Do you want to hang around?
Let's give away these tickets.
Do you want to hang around while we give away the tickets, Al? Because I'm sure you're not going to call up for them.
Oh, I'm not going to call up for them. I don't need them. Like I'm in Canberra, so I'm not going to be able to come. So yeah, no, for sure, I'll stick around.
So why don't we have a little quiz though? You need to call up shortly to win the tickets, but you have to answer a question.
A question?
Do you know what the question is?
Have you decided the question?
Yes, I have. I have decided the question. All right, let's make it.
Second caller. Done.
Right.
Second caller, come in.
Second caller.
Second caller. Go on, call up now. Macca's got the controls. He'll take the second caller. Good luck. Hey, Jesus.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We have Ben Jennings. We have
Ben.
Rahman. How are you, mate?
I'm pretty
All
good.
right.
Turn your radio down.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've just done that. Yeah, I've given you all sorts of feedback there, I imagine.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
All right, so you're going to have to... How old are you, Ben?
34.
All right, you should know this one.
Oh, bloody hell.
I'm gonna ask you a question, and it's not footy related.
Is it ageist though?
Hey?
So it's not ageist.
No, it's not ageist.
Yeah, go on, knock yourself out.
All right. So seeing it's tax time,
Oh,
right? You do tax returns.
I do.
Awesome. So if you wanted to claim $301 of stuff in your tax, would you need receipts for all of it or not?
Okay, well, I should say that for the last few years I've been getting an accountant, Rick, so, you know.
It's a 50-50 answer.
Yeah.
Here.
I believe my common wisdom understanding is that you don't need receipts for less than $300.
Oh my God, no! I didn't say less. I said more. I said 301.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
So what's your answer?
Phrase the question again.
I said if you want to claim $301 of receipt, if you want to claim $301 of deductions in your tax, do you need receipts for all of that? Very good.
Thank you.
Winner, winner. Woo! Chicken dinner. There you go. I should have just said what's Jasper Kiddard's number on the back.
Good work.
I remember numbers, so that.
What this question has to do with Port Adelaide, I have no idea. But
I got no idea either.
this is not your finance podcast, Rick. That's
Why not?
a stupid question.
I think he's just plugging New Vision.
Oh, hey, I didn't even say it, but there you go. You did. Well done. Good work.
So four locker room tickets then?
No. 2. I'm lucky to get 2. I put the offer out, and then I got told 5 minutes later that I wasn't allowed to, and I was like, "Shit, well, that's a bit late."
Okay.
So lucky we did a deal. So it's all good.
Fantastic.
So you're a winner. You can take 2 tickets, so you can take, and it's going to a big footy member as well, which is great. So you can take a friend, whoever you like. Well, have you? While we've got a couple of minutes, Macca, why don't you quickly bring up the other functions for the people that have contributed to the big footy sponsorship that are coming up? So there's still a couple of opportunities, isn't there?
I'm
Put him
sure
under
there
the
is,
pump,
Rick.
mate.
Yep. Yep,
Can't remember.
there are so many functions. It's hard to know where to start. I mean,
Well, there's the Guard of Honour,
There is the Guard of Honour. Yeah, that's true.
which is pretty cool. That's for the GWS game, so someone will be able to join the Guard of Honour. And what else is there? There's the player sponsorship night on the 10th, where they're giving the Guernsey presentation, and you get to go into the locker room and check out the locker room. I reckon that'll be pretty cool as well.
That will be very good. Yep, that's true.
And I don't know what the other one is.
Hey,
Sounds about right.
sounds
Rick, we
great.
haven't mentioned your very special event for this weekend.
What's that? No, I'm actually tossing the coin this week.
Or
I
a
won
Port
it.
Fan radio shirt.
I don't have any Port Fan radio shirts.
Well, then you've got like 48 hours to like get one.
Someone said just get a white T-shirt and write Port Fan Radio on it.
Or
With a
just
text
write
on
shit club no history.
What do you want me to do? Get bashed off the ground?
At a St Kilda game, that's probably very apt, to be honest. But
What I was thinking was, because you got to take your own coin out there, was making out I didn't have one. And go, oh shit, I forgot to bring a coin out. And
Why do you have to
Out
take
with
your
no money.
I don't know, I got told you have to take your own coin. So maybe I should message Trav on the side and oh well, he doesn't call though, do they? Does he? St Kilda calls, so that would be no good. So maybe I have to message the St Kilda captain on the side and tell him to call heads, and I'll have an all tails coin or something.
Who is the captain for St Kilda this week?
it's Armitage, isn't it?
I got no idea.
Good player, and we didn't actually talk about Armitage. I mean, he is a great player, and we did talk about our lack of taggers. What should we be doing there? Because he could tear us apart.
He's a good player. He'll likely be All Australian this year, and I wouldn't mind seeing Andrew Moore go up against him, to be honest. I think it's more likely to see Ollie Wines go up against him, but I think it's a good chance for Andrew Moore to see what he can do.
Boys,
You mean like he's been doing all season, not much?
Exactly right. Yep. All right. Well, on that note,
Awesome.
should we shut it off?
yeah, I can go
Pull
home and
the
watch.
pin.
I can watch the second innings of the cricket. That'll be awesome. I
Too
look
easy.
forward. Feel free to cheer me on with my fantastic coin tossing this weekend. Don't worry about the game. It's all about the coin toss.
Rick, are you going to have a diuretic beforehand so you look good on camera?
I always look good on camera. Al. What are you talking about? Maybe
Just making sure.
I might even shave. What do you reckon? I don't think one diuretic would help me. Can you get me a whole case? What do you reckon?
See Warnie.
Steve Warner.
Steve Warnie.
All right, boys. Thanks very
Love it.
much.
All right, boys.
Have a good night,
Go on
fellas.
the pair.
Go Power.
Down the pair.
Franco, the running Francis, it's deafening at Footy Park. It's like finals footy and Treadray marks at half forward. He's lifted as well, Treadray. 5 marks for him this afternoon. To the goal square. Chad Corns is the man of the moment. Can't do it this time. Stewie Jew, right foot,